Hey everyone, Harriet here. Hope you're doing okay. Today I am with Stuart once again, and we are talking about Pokemon. So we got news last week. It was last week, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, that's finally a storyline that's been going like 20 plus years is coming to an end, and I think it shocked the internet because it wasn't something we were expecting on the bingo card this year of Ash Ketchum signing off of Pokemon. I can't believe it. I really can't, actually, to be fair. Didn't think it would happen.
No, yeah, it came as a complete left field moment, didn't it? It's 25 years. It's 25th anniversary this year, so going
Yeah.
into the 26th year. After all the Pokemon celebrations, they decided in the 26th year we're just going to write Ash Ketchum out of the anime as a protagonist. We're going to do it in 13 episodes, and then we'll round out the Pokemon Journey series as well in doing it. Then it'd be like, see you later, mate. We're going
Yeah.
to bring in new people to focus on the Paldea region. So, which makes sense. I mean, because they've done that in the past anyway with previous games, but in the anime they kind of run them sort of like in a similar way. But this time it's massively different because they've decided that Ash isn't going to be a part of it. We're going to have two new people, and yeah, he won't be the protagonist anymore. So it's interesting because there was a report, and I've been trying to find it today, and I couldn't grab it in time. But there was a report a few weeks ago where they were talking about the new anime, and they mentioned that something around Ash's journey not being done. Uh, so there's a lot of rumours swirling around it. Is his journey completely done, or is he going to play a role in some way in this series at some point? So there's rumours everywhere from he's going to be the new Professor Oak type character that mentors them, or to on the other end he's going to be the champion they have to battle at some stage to overcome it and fulfill their part of the legacy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's there's been a lot because a lot of people have said that the writing was on the wall from the minute he won. Spoilers. Um,
It only took
no one
20.
noticed
It only
it.
took 25 years, you know.
It's 25 years, and they did it. So it was interesting because I remember when he won, there's videos circulating around, or they played the news of him winning, like a news report on the big screens in Shibuya and all these places in Tokyo,
Yeah.
and it was an awesome sight to see people just like celebrating that kind of thing, which I thought was really cool. Uh, yeah, it's just you wouldn't have picked. It's a bold move for Pokemon to do.
It is. It very much is. Because you'd think after so many years, oh, it's never going to happen. Ash is going to be like 10 years old forever or whatever age he is now. Because he has seamlessly not aged a bit. He's gone for a few redesigns. Like Sun and Moon was definitely a brand new concept of his character design. But yeah, you just think after all those years, they actually done it. They actually just decided we're going to go with this. Because it's like you said, every new game they've brought out, they have incorporated those Pokemon into the series and made it like a brand new show. So introducing new side characters. And we've had so many side characters in the past, and I have a feeling it probably will. I mean, I've seen the trailer, and I'm gonna post photos and bits in between while we're talking. But it did show. It showed, well, as I know, Gary, because I know the English more than anything. Gary, Misty. So I have a feeling it could be that he connects with everyone again, maybe as a round off to the story. Maybe Misty might get her bite back after all these years. You don't know.
Apparently he gave, because I thought this originally, then I read somewhere he gave her bike back in an earlier episode.
Oh, did
So he's
he?
already given her bike back. So yeah. Well, I want to correct myself. It's Pokemon Ultimate Journeys, this series. Yeah, he
Yes.
pretty much. The guy. Well, I can't remember. Someone mentioned this when the announcement came out. And he was like, no, he gave it her back at the end of one of the earlier series. I'm just trying to find it now.
I'm just looking at this up now as well. Oh yes, it says here he himself and Brock bought her a new bike.
So yeah, she did get her bike back.
She
So
did.
that a major plot point that everyone's thinking about is, and everyone's always asked these questions about.
Mm.
Turns out it's going to be there. But yeah, it is interesting from a number of points of view, both commercially and kind of, I think, as a fan, because I mean I've been playing the games for as long as the anime's been running, so it's really interesting to see from my perspective that what they've done, whether, because I've always been Ash, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it is a bad idea. I'm not saying that shouldn't do it. Everyone's got to change. Everything's got to grow. Anime has to develop. These things happen. Characters come and go. We've been lucky to get Ash for 25 years. I mean, he's frankly amazing, really. I mean, granted, you could say the writing's been on the wall because he won the championship. He started to appear in video games before he appeared in Pokemon Masters EX as a playable character for the first time in history of the franchise. You had Ash Ketchum. You could play with Ash and Pikachu as a character, which stunning to a lot of, and that made just as much news as you'd expect it would do. But
Yeah.
completely, like a few months later, they might see you later. We're going to replace you with two characters called Liko and Roy, a boy and a girl. One dressed in blue, one dressed in red, kind of like mirroring the colors of the Pokemon we think they're going to be choosing, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just an interesting one, because don't forget the franchise doesn't just include the animated series; it includes the movies. So while they've written him out as a protagonist out of the anime, we've not, in the animated series, they've not mentioned the movies. So does this mean we'll see more movies with Ash in it?
That's
or
true.
does it mean we are going to see him completely replaced and take the movie franchise over? Because if you've got these two new characters, Liko and Roy, when you're marketing a movie, you'll market it on an established franchise. One could argue that Pokemon itself is the franchise, not Ash and Pikachu. But when you're trying to sell tickets to people, those are the two most recognizable people to an audience, to a market. So it's a tough one. I mean, Ash and Pikachu more recognizable, obviously, than Mewtwo. Will the Mewtwo be? Then you could argue that when Ash did his first Pokemon movie, he wasn't. He was in the same position as they are now. So it's kind of an interesting economical choice for them to do, because I think what we will, if they do it, we'll see the success first in Japan before the international markets, and see how the Japanese respond, because they've always been, I think, the barometer for how a Pokemon movie performs. Because it will do well if it comes out in Japan and gets loads of views, but then the majority of the time when it comes out in America, if I'm right, I don't think we get cinematic release that often. We get sometimes we do, then other times it just goes on to gets a 4Kids dub and goes on to Cartoon Network.
Yeah, or DVD, Blu-ray, etc.
DVD, Blu-ray, Netflix more recently, which is good news for Pokemon fans, really, globally. But the other thing for me, I think, really interesting is to see how quickly Netflix pushed the dub through.
Yes.
Have the episodes already been recorded? Because this is going to be one 13-episode run that everybody wants to watch. And traditionally with Ultimate Journeys on Netflix, the release has been quite staggered and you don't get them all at once. I don't even think that Netflix has the episode in which he wins up yet. If he
don't think it does.
I'm actually just going to check Netflix now, actually. Because if he does, I'll be watching that directly after this. But
I probably will be after the traitors, but yeah, I probably will be. It is a case now, like with anime nowadays, there is very much a simul dub. So pretty much a week or two after a popular anime is released, then the dub will come out. So I have a feeling that with this, because like you said, everyone will want to see this, and some people don't like watching subs, sub dub argument for another day, but there will be people who want to watch the dub. So I have a feeling they probably will push this out as soon as they can, and it's like you said, they've already kind of released trailers of it, so I think this has been in the pipeline for a bit, and if it's being released next month as well, so I have a feeling they might have done a dub, and they might probably release it a day or two after the original episode goes up, because it could be, I don't know if it's a weekly thing or a daily thing because there's so many episodes, but obviously it does begin next month, and yeah,
It just seems. Yeah, I think I agree with that, but it seems to me I don't think it's out there on Netflix. So it does. I think we're going to get taking its time, which to me would be, I think, is a mistake. Well, they've missed out on their market because pirates are going to pirate that like you wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah,
Especially if it comes out in the US first in dub. Because I'm not sure. I think the license for Pokemon may not extend to Netflix in the US because I know. Well, I'd imagine. I think that might be one of the networks has it. Maybe Cartoon Network. I'd have to check because it would make sense for them to have it. But it would. Yeah, it just would be a missed thing because it would just encourage piracy, and that's what Pokemon don't want to be doing.
no.
Yeah, it's. I just hope they don't take too long with it, and it doesn't mean this time next year we see it.
Well, yeah, I really hope not, because I mean, it pretty much was, like you said, spoilers earlier in regards to the championship. Pretty much as soon as it was announced, it was everywhere. You could not miss it. So it's going to be the same. It's going to be on every social media platform, YouTube, because there are people who will put the specific clip of a specific moment on YouTube for people to see, and then that kind of teases them to go, well, okay, I'm going to look for this. I can't find it genuinely. Well, I'm going to go down that route of, looking on sites that shouldn't stream it legally, so shall we say. But I'm just intrigued how they are going to finish his story. It's like you said, is he going to become a professor? Is he going to stay a child? Is he going to grow up? I don't know. I really, really hope they do space this out, though, in a way that he's gone through all these different things in the episodes, and then at the very end, bam, he's grown up, sort of thing. I would like to see it kind of space out a bit to see him finally, or just like an ending that we're happy with. But then again, nowadays, most endings don't end okay, and then there's an uproar. But I think they have to get this right for the sake of how long it's been going with his story, I believe.
Yeah, it is Netflix in the US actually. So people that were shouting at their YouTube videos and going, "Oh, he's an idiot and don't know what you talk about," it was Netflix. So I was.
Please don't have a go at Stuart. We're just fans who like talking about this, so we're not experts.
But it turns out Netflix, and they release it sort of quarterly. So the chances are that we'll get it eventually. But right now, I think the last one that they've got coming up, allegedly, I'm not too sure when the next one will be then.
It's hard to say, really.
No, I mean, they've listed the finals as coming up on the US, so it may have aired on the US possibly, but again, with the UK, whether or not we actually get that is a different story.
Yeah.
I mean, I might sign into my US one later and see if I can stream up, but on VPN. But it's because that's legal to do. Thanks to today's sponsor, NordVPN. I had to do it. Every other YouTuber's done it, so I thought I'd do it for you, Harriet. So there you go.
To be fair, I watch Wrestle Talk and they promote Surfshark, and there you are. It actually popped up on my. I do have it, and then it suddenly popped up on my screen during my reaction. I'm like, oh dear, let's cut that out. I don't even show it on the thing, so I'm like, well, I'm not being sponsored, but there you are. So you got two sponsors in one. There you go.
There you go. But you're right. This story, the ending to the story, is going to be is a tricky one to balance here because you've got 25 years of potential plot points to cover, and we know bike's we know the bike's gone. We know that for a fact. It's going to be done. We've never had the is Mr. Mime or isn't Mr. Mime Ash's dad one solved yet. I'm joking. I'm joking. Could it be Professor Oak? We don't know because there's been loads of rumours around that. I don't think it is. I think because they mentioned Ash's dad being an ex-champion, I think, or at some point in the lore. It's either that or that's in the games. But whether or not we ever find out the true answer to that will be another thing. You'd imagine they're going to use the 13 episodes to go through previous plot points, and I think it would be intriguing to see how they do it, because, like you say, no one's ever happy with any kind of an ending. But with this, it's different. This is a series that's not, in anime terms, is not actually based on. Well, there is a Pokemon manga, but it isn't based on that. This is purely based on the writers they have at the time in the Pokemon company working on the series. So it is gonna be based on that. So there's no source material that they're drawing from apart from the video games. But the video game story isn't always used in it, if ever. So we get the characters, for example, Leon. We got from the Galar region, Galar, whichever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Sound like an Australian when I say that. Flaming Galar. So it's kind of like that region. You get those characters, and then the previous games you get that. So yeah, a lot of people are asking: Is Ash going to pair up with someone? Are we going to see Ash, marrying himself off effectively, or in a relationship? Some people are thinking that might be the way around it. Personally, I would like them to kind of end it on the side that he just show it as him talking to his child who's about to go out on their journey, and telling him all the stories and stuff like that, or he's talking to his child and reading him the story, and he goes, "Well, that's how I ended my story, son." And then his dad, then he rolls over and goes, "Dad, he or she could be even twins. Who knows? It could be that would be really awesome if it turned out to be twins, and it was Liko and Roy and Ash."
I was just thinking, would it be one of those children?
I think that could be the way of doing it, though, because it's almost like the Boruto version of it, isn't it? It's like got the son and the daughter taking over the mantle of the father, and the father just being there casually to back him up, and Pikachu walking around with like a little walking stick. Stick. The stick, this little stick encourages electric power attacks to go up. No, if you want to go really funny with it, you could say the walking stick allows his speed to go up because he can walk with it. So his speed increases.
That's amazing.
Pikachu use walking stick. It is very effective.
Goes up to poke up.
But it would, so that would be a nice way to end it, having him send his children out on his journey, and then I think it would be a really nice way to end it. And then throughout the series, that's the way of bringing him back.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the movies, then you can have the movies be about the children, but him coming in to help them.
Yeah.
Because it would be kind of, I think that for me would be the better way to do it. It would also allow you to still keep him in the franchise. It would allow you to still not the word I'm looking for is betray. The fans will feel less betrayed than they may possibly be now. So that's how I would personally end it. I think it'd be really cool to see that. Especially it'd be interesting to see them all as adults. Maybe, will Jesse and James finally be seen as adults as well? Because they're all I've always thought of Ash as a Peter Pan of Pokemon, but then theoretically when he's not, because you've got Jesse and James that are pretty much not aged. Meowth's not aged. Misty and Brock have not aged. Brock, in this day and age, I'm surprised has not been Me Too'd by now. I'm really shocked that he hasn't by now. He's tempered himself. They've tempered his character down a bit now, so that's fine.
Yeah, he is more calmer-ish.
But how they got away with some of that stuff in the 90s, you look back on it in the 90s now, some of the episodes in like the early 2000s, and you're thinking, how on earth did they get away with that then? It's just insanity. I mean, obviously it's the times back then, and everyone took it a little less. It's a shame. It's more. It should have been treated a little differently than like it is now. It should have been the same, but it wasn't. But different cultural sensibilities, I guess, and than they were at the time. But yeah.
The one thing we can thank for the dub is the fact that it's not a what is it? It wasn't the onigiri. It was a jam donut, wasn't it? So No, I think my favourite one of line is like, you could use my frying pan as a drying pan. It's just like, oh dear God.
Yeah, well,
I
I think that's probably why they don't have the voice acting in the games. Let's be fair. The translation will be quite impressive to see.
Oh,
Uh, yeah.
I do love the original 4Kids dub. I know there is someone else who's taken over because there was a whole thing about that. But I do love the original 4Kids dub.
Yeah, you had Veronica Taylor doing that, and then you got the lovely Sarah doing it now.
Yeah.
The thing is, both the lovely voice actors, I've had the pleasure of working with both. And I actually do have a signed Ash hat from Veronica Taylor up in my personal collection of stuff.
I have met Veronica. She is so friendly. So nice.
Her and her daughter are amazing. The current voice actor of Ash, Sarah, she's very lovely. I mean, she is absolutely... They're both humble. They're both very good voice actors. Granted, Veronica didn't go out in the best of ways possible when her time ended, but that's a whole other video to go into that.
That's another kettle of fish.
Holy hell. But yeah, but it's a shame. Both of those sent out lovely messages about it. I think even Veronica did one using an Ash figure that she's got and voiced little mouth movements, one which you can see on her Facebook page. It's quite cute and quite funny. She does those periodically anyway. But yeah, it's either that or she did a Christmas one. I can't remember. She does a lot with that, and she's really good with it still. And even her daughter voiced Pokemon as well. So both of it's an interesting. I don't know. We've gone off track now with the voice actors, but both of those conveyed their thoughts on it, and really quickly afterwards. It makes me wonder, and I said this to you, I know on messengers. Makes me wonder if they knew, and if they knew how much beforehand did they know? Because there was a lot of prepared statements, kind of feel to it. So, do kind of wonder that really.
I have a feeling they were told. It's. I think it's like I said before. After they announced this series, they must have been told before time. Like you said, so they could get it ready, because obviously everyone's going to be straight away. So, what are your opinions on it? Please tell us. And they're probably like, well, we have this ready. Boom, tweet it or send it out on Facebook, Twitter, etc. So
yeah, and I think that I've got Sarah Natoceni's statement here. She says it's been an extraordinary privilege to have been the English voice of Alex Ketchum for what will be 17 years. No matter what lies behind his final chapter, he will live forever in the hearts of many generations to come. I'll keep him present for all of us in every way I can. And she's got a great picture of her with an ash mask just obscuring part of her face. And that she released. I've got the Twitter version there. So. Yeah, so it's very well written. So it is a kind of statement that must have taken time, and so it does make you wonder how much of an advance warning she would get for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that also makes me wonder: has she recorded the last lines already? She would never tell anything, because they're not even voice actors for Pokemon aren't even allowed to deliver. They do like live events they're not even allowed to actually do the voices.
Really?
They're not allowed to do them in public anymore.
Oh,
When they're under contract for the Pokemon company, they're not allowed to do it.
No, I didn't know that. That makes sense, because I've never seen it now that you mention it, it's like one of those things. I mean, in the past, well, you've had it like if when people are being interviewed and then someone comes on, like, do this voice or do it in this line or say it in this line. I've never really heard that actually of most of the Pokemon characters as such.
The last thing you want to do though is have a fan come up to you and ask you to say something that Ash wouldn't say.
Yeah, it's like a cameo in person sort of thing.
Yeah, and then they record it, then it goes online, and then it gets ripped apart and dubbed over Ash's picture, and then it's next thing you know, you've got an animated version of Ash saying something highly inappropriate.
Yes, for a kids show, yeah.
For a kids show, and it goes viral because of that. It goes all the way back. It makes me harken back to the Thundercats outtakes that were going around from the 1980s cartoon series.
I think
Yeah, I
I've
heard
remembered them vaguely. It's been a long time.
it's been a long time, but they're still worth a listen even now. But they got leaked by one of the sound engineers, and just hearing Mumra swear is just hilarious. So you can imagine what would happen if those kind of things happen. So I can see why Pokemon protect it. I genuinely can. I think, but yeah, it makes you think, though, doesn't it?
Oh, I can imagine the outtakes in Pokemon. Oh my god.
Oh my lord!
They would have gone to town with that, I think.
Yeah, that would be especially the amount of time they must spend in the booth for that series. I mean, there's a lot of episodes per season, and then you've got countless hours of the voice acting will take, especially if, for example, Sarah, and she does Pokemon voices as well, so she's got to do that. So, God, it must be like nuts. Oh, I'd love to find them. That would be good, but again, I don't. I think once the series ends for good and there's no more Pokemon animated series, I think then they might start to come out, unless they're out there. Friendly outtakes are out there. Doesn't make me wonder though.
I'd say probably. I know Eric Stewart does a lot of conventions, but I'm just trying to think. Does he do like voice stuff at panels? I don't know off the top of my head, because he always goes to, because I have him on Facebook and he's always advertising for James and Brock, because he voices both of them in the show. The different contrasts of both those characters, by the way, is completely amazing. In regards to Brock, like the smooth trying to seduce every woman he can, and you got James, who is just James. That's the best way I love James though. He is one of my favourite characters in the whole of the franchise, actually, because I just love his character build, and his little side stories as well. And plus him, Team Rocket, I always like, you root for. I know they're not going to win, but you're still like, maybe this time they'll get Pikachu.
Who knows? Maybe that's the final story.
It could be.
They kidnap Pikachu, and that's it. And then you get the new people who are they turn out they're Ash's kids, but their quest then is to free Pikachu from the evil Team Rocket.
Yeah.
There you go. True. Or actually, is it going to be Team Star? That's the other thing, because this is Paldea focused. Got the Team Star angle there. So is it? I mean, they're not really per se a Team Rocket thing. Without giving away game spoilers, they're a completely different type of Pokemon team that you're battling against this time.
Yeah, I haven't finished all of it, but I'm kind of learning about them as I go along, and it's just like, yeah, this is definitely not Team Rocket.
No, they're completely different. But yeah, there's a lot. I think the interesting thing about Pokemon, especially from the animated stuff, is that they have a lot of stuff to draw from in the games. There's a lot of franchise stuff that they got to work with, and the Pokemon designs every year are getting more and more interesting. This year we've got and then the last game we give us an engine that turns into a giant Pokemon car. Well,
this is it, yeah. You're fighting a car.
Fighting a car, and effectively, then the anime people and the anime writers get that to work with, and the animators get that to work with. So that's why I think it poses an interesting challenge with what they're going to have to do going forward. And when you've got characters like Jesse and James, you've got such a massive variety of characters you can pull back on in the series to reference again and use, and they'll probably likely do that throughout the course of the new series, reference previous characters, because then it draws in ratings.
Yeah.
For the less casual fans.
See, that's the thing. I think one of my questions is that obviously because some people don't like change. People won't accept it. They'll always have Ash as their definitive protagonist for Pokemon. Do you think the new characters can carry the series on? Or do you think it's going to be the biggest shoes you are going to have to fill with these two characters? Especially because there's two of them, not one. So
start the hashtag now. Hashtag not my Ash. Hashtag not my Ketchum. This is why I think they're gonna. There's two schools of thought here. Is that they're trying to push the franchise in a new direction, so they're going to completely take away the Ash connection and go off in that route. They've proven with some of the YouTube shorts they've done, the animated ones there, when they've done those without Ash, that they can do it, and they are extraordinary. Some of them are animated beautifully. The Hisuian ones are really well done.
Oh,
You've got some of the previous ones where they explore a different look at the characters, and they don't have ash in them, but they have like red, blue,
yeah.
and all the other different like Groudon and all those kind of characters in there. So they've done those really well, and they were very well loved. So there is that point that you could say, okay, they're going to potentially do well, but this is different because they're still following the traditional series versions by having lead characters. This time two, rather than just the one. Even though one could argue that Ash and Pikachu are a two because they are technically two characters, I guess.
True.
I think if it were me, if I were going to hedge my bets, I would say that they're going to keep Ash and bring Ash in some way as probably the father or the mentor, because they don't want to lose a familiarity with the franchise that they've already built.
Yeah. Just drop him in every now and then, like they do with Professor Oak now and then when they see him and his mum together, sort of thing. Together. That could be another thing that comes out. Maybe they might admit, yeah, we are together.
And everyone's like,
yeah, and
we saw that. Wait, come on, catch up. We realised that 20 minutes ago, like 20 years ago. Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, we don't know much about these two characters at the moment that they're replacing him with.
Yeah.
It's fairly much still their starter Pokemon they're going to have. We know that their names are Liko and Roy. We know what they're dressed like. We've got only one image that I've seen so far.
Yeah,
and it's showing two of the new ones. It's not showing. Oh no, it's showing all three of the new starters.
That's the interesting thing. It's just like, well, it looks like what do you call it? It looks like, I'm trying to get the names. Roy has got Fuecoco, and I don't know who Liko's got, because you've got Quaxley and Sprigatito in the photo as well. So just
if I was to hedge a bet, she's dressed in blue.
Yes, so I'm thinking Quaxley.
That would be why I would say that one. However, looking at the image, and then now I'm...
Because I've got another image that I'm going to put on the screen now, on edit, and there is a bit where she is looking at Sprigatito.
Yeah, she's also wearing a green jewel on her neck and a green pin in her hair.
Yes.
So that could imply that there's a connection there to Sprigatito.
Yes.
And then Quaxley would be the one. Maybe it could be the fact that she's the stronger of the two trainers. That's why she's got two Pokemon. He's the weaker of the two trainers. He's only got one. We don't really know. The interesting thing is she's not showing any Pokeballs at all. He is.
Yeah.
So maybe she's more of the I don't have the Pokeballs, I let them run free type of character. And he's the one that's like, I've got my Pokeballs, I'm going to use those type of things. So
yeah.
It's interesting. I also think now looking at it, I can see a bit of Ash in him, in his character design. So I don't know whether that's just reading too much into it, which is also likely to be the case. But
we just don't know.
We don't know, and they've been very coy about releasing any kind of more news on them. So
I think they're going to let whatever happens with Ash happens, and I'm guessing probably they'll probably release more news later, like they do with Pokemon Direct with Nintendo. They kind of do it in dribs and drabs every 2 or 3 months, just to get you more interested. And it's just like, okay, well, this is what's going to happen this time, because like we said, this suddenly just came out of the blue last week, and it was just like, what? Wait, hold on, stop everything. You're telling me first of all Ash is finishing, and now you've got 2 new people who are joining. This is still too much to comprehend to take in at once, sort of thing.
Yeah, it was exactly that. It was just, I mean, even the wording I'm looking at the original wording here from Pokemon. It says an all-new Pokemon series has been announced. Join 2 new characters and 3 Paldea starter Pokemon as they adventure through the Pokemon world. Plus, commemorate Ash's journey with special episodes concluding Pokemon Ultimate Journeys, the series coming soon in 2023 and beyond. So It's yeah. I mean, we know that the new anime as well will premiere in April next year,
Yes.
so we know that. Um, it's about. Me wonders this as if they're just going to treat this new one as a completely separate series with no connection to the Ashes era,
Mm.
and then that's still a doable option. They set it in a not in Ash's universe, so almost they've created the Pokeverse.
Yeah.
Um, maybe that's the thing. Maybe they're doing that, and it doesn't run. Ash's universe is done. They've tied that up. They move off and leave it, and then they may end up bringing Ash into the Paldea universe via the storylines that they explore as part of the Paradox Pokemon in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which I will not spoil for you if you've not already seen it. Because that has some really interesting plot devices they use in that game towards the end, which could be a way of branching the series over. But I don't know. I mean, it's speculative. Purely right now is speculative
Yeah.
because Pokemon, as they do with these things, are very traditionally close to their chest. And they did the win of him winning that competition. Immediately, it sparked rumors. What was was he being replaced?
Mm.
And that's where I heard. I think that was around about the time that the director said that Ash's journey is not yet over in the series. Whether or not they meant there was more coming, and now we know that there is in the final 13, or whether or not they meant his future in the franchise
Yes.
is going to be going side by side, we don't know. But it is going to be certainly Pokemon's 26th year is going to be an interesting one. I won't. I will say this. I'll be surprised if we never. I won't be surprised that if we don't. We will see Ash again. I'm almost certain we'll see him again.
Yeah.
We've got 30 years of Pokemon approaching very quickly.
Mm.
So they're gonna do something special for that.
Yeah.
That will be what 4 years away now, 4 or 5 years away. So that's 2027, 2026. We'll be looking to see more about that. So they're gonna do something then, be it a special movie, be it I don't know what, but that's going to be interesting. And again, like I said earlier, there's a Pokemon movie I'm sure coming at some point.
It'll have to be, yeah. And it's also what I mean. Obviously, plot line going forward. Obviously, you become the champion, so it's just a case of how that's going to happen. Obviously, you have Team Star, like you said, who are the main antagonists of Violet and Scarlet. So in a way, because their storyline kind of incorporates that they're in this. If you haven't played it, they're not spoilerish, but they are incorporated with the character in a way of association of what they do. If that makes any sense. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's just a case of it'd be interesting because I don't know the full story of Team Star yet. Like I said, I'm kind of like a few trainers away. And also, will we have some of the characters from the game in this? So, oh God help if we have Nimona. Oh dear God, she terrifies me.
Then
She could have the third starter.
I think we probably will. I think Nimona is a good character to bring in. She's very much the driving character behind your character in the actual series. She's the nemesis character, if you think about it in terms of the games. So she's the original game's Gary.
Yes.
So effectively, she is that, but she's the more friendlier version of it. She's just an excitable young
oh boy
woman that's desperate to get you in a battle, kind of thing. So wouldn't be a surprise if they brought her in. I think it wouldn't be a surprise if they also brought in the academy that you're studying in. But again, there's two different kind of settings for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so how much of that they'll lean into or not, we don't know. There is some interesting developments in terms of the Pokemon that you've got. Once you get into Area Zero, there's some really cool Pokemon in there that you've never seen before, which are versions of current Pokemon or evolutions of current Pokemon, so Paradox Pokemon, and they're just so much they can play into. There's so much potential for a really great story there. So hopefully they lean into that, because the story around the Paradox Pokemon alone would be amazing to see as an animated one and explore. And part of Scarlet and Violet are some of the better Pokemon game stories that I've ever seen. I, in fact, enjoyed the story of the professor's son in Violet story more than I enjoyed the main story about my character.
I will say
So
I am enjoying Arvin's story. I really am.
Arvin and Yu's story is great and it's emotional. It's really good. And then again, it takes a whole other twist when you get towards the end game. And it's just like a sucker punch, 1-2 punch with that. And
I'm ready to get hit by the feels once again.
yeah, you do. There's a lot of feels in that story, and so it would make a really good animated series story. But again, it's whether they would because it's not good. It's very difficult not to spoil it. Whether they would because it's very, very emotional, we don't know. There's a lot there they can do with it, and with the new characters, they're not. I guess they don't have to. With the new characters, they got more freedom to explore that than they would potentially with Ash and Pikachu, because there's also less. Be curious to see because Ash and Pikachu's always had that comedy edge to it.
Yeah.
Are they going to keep that comedy edge in the new characters? Are we going to see that? Is Quaxley going to be that new comedy character that they bring in, or is it going to be? Or is it going to be for your Coco? So. It's a really, really tricky one, and I think, as I said earlier, I think I've said 13. It may sorry if I said 13 episodes, I was wrong earlier. It's 11. There's 11 to wrap it up, starting very soon, I believe. So it's January.
Next month,
so it's it's just incredibly quick as well. So maybe they realise, oh wait a minute, we're running, we're running close to the time. Let's just drop a bombshell on people.
January 13th is when it's starting.
Oh, it's so quick, isn't it? Really?
It's literally just around the corner.
Less than a month. I mean, it really is less than a month, and then they're running it. So they got the 11 weeks of that, so that will run it up just shy of, or if not bang on with the debut of the new series. So they'll lead it straight in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an intriguing one. I'm looking for. I would going back to what we said about the story. I would love them, like I said, just to end it. Have it with Ash still there but older. I just think that is the better way of doing it, because then you don't have that whole thing of being the eternal child anymore, and it would be really nice as an ending to see him mature.
Yeah, I would like that. I would like to see him grow up, it would be, because obviously it's been one of the memes of us growing up. Really, it's like we're not getting older, but we're getting older, but Ash Ketchum isn't, sort of thing.
Said it before, said it again. Peter Pan and Pokemon.
Yeah, pretty much. Very much so.
It's an interesting choice from the Pokemon Company to do it. Like I've said earlier, I think I would have possibly have held it off and done it on the 30th anniversary to go out with that, to make because then you've got the really big bang. So you've got not only a 30th episode but a new Pokemon series. Boom. But chose to do it now.
Yeah.
They've obviously got their reasons for doing it now, and I'm going to say that their reasons are likely, but very, very likely tied to the fact that the new game's released, and they've only got a finite amount of time to do these storylines before they release the next game, and then have to do the next game storylines in the anime. So they're very cyclical. So they've just gone with that Ash.
It is a case though, if they didn't pull it on Ash now, when would they have done it? I mean, it is a case of like it's just like, I honestly did see him going forever. Like most anime series, they have their protagonists going on and on and on, or if they do remakes, they include that character again. It's like if you took Luffy out of One Piece, for example, that's a good example of like, okay, so what's going to happen after that? But you're right. I think they could have left it at another milestone, maybe. I think they could have carried on, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I suppose is the case. But also, you could also think change can somewhat be good. But like I said before, people don't like change. So...
Well, many thought Go was that change. When he comes into this current series, at the beginning of that run, many thought, right, it's replacing Ash, that's it, boom.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't Go. It turns out it's going to be a completely different thing altogether. So Maybe Go was the test, though. That's the thing. Maybe Go was the test to see how people responded to them introducing a new character
Yeah.
and having a new character take a role in the series. But as that worked out, maybe they decided to pull the trigger on it. Don't know. Again, purely speculation. But I think a lot of what happens over the course of that 11 episodes will be telling. And I think it will be the last episode probably that is the most telling.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that's going to directly lead into it more. Unless they start that story earlier and put it in like the final 3 or 4. But like I say, it is going to be the shame that he's going.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how the franchise moves on in an animated series sense from now on. Because if this tanks, Ash is going to be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, they'll bring him back.
Silly. Not silly. If it doesn't work out and Liko and Roy aren't liked and universally hated, then they'll retcon the whole lot faster than you can say Rigon. They will retcon it, and they'll get Hypno will come on the screen one day and do that. And everyone will be hypnotized, and it's all back. They do the JR thing, and they'll be instead of they do the Dallas thing instead of maybe Ash coming out of a shower, going, "Wow, it's all a dream." They
could do it.
Don't get it. You know, it's it was all what? It was just that's what would happen, because if it's going to cost them money, then they won't. They'll react quicker than you can say. You can say the next game title.
Yeah.
Well, they would do it because it makes no sense for them not to. But the good thing is they seem to have a plan. They executed the plan. Now we're just going to go along for the ride. It doesn't seem like it's a rushed reaction to the success of the new games, because don't forget, the new games have done extraordinarily well.
Yeah.
Considering the amount of glitches in them.
I haven't come across many, actually. I'm very sad. I really want to see a few.
I've come across something like suddenly my Pokeball going from normal, and then when the camera zooms well out and you've got like a tiny, tiny Pokeball on the floor, you're standing over it, lording over it like a god, and I'm like, oh, did I suddenly get 70 feet tall?
I think
there's been bits and bobs like that. The camera is very much the issue, I think.
I love the background. So like the further you are away, the more people are more the stop motion sort of. It's brilliant. I love that.
It's the loading, isn't it? It's the actual loading time that's the problem that they seem to suffer from. But it's a Nintendo Switch. It's not a massively powerful, graphically based console either. So you've got to understand that that's probably why they've packed a lot into that. And this is their first one full on of this type. They've had similar ones like it before, but it's the first full on one of its type. So
give it time. Next time it'll be obviously.
Yeah, next time it'll be better. We don't know what that'll be yet. I mean, we won't get that historically for another 2 years or maybe 3 years anyway.
Yeah.
Depending on what they want to do next, it's likely to be a new version of an old game before it's a new version. And also there's the DLC rumors for this one have already started spinning out of control, so there's potential there. So I hope it's when I've completed the Pokédex, not while I'm still trying to. But yeah, I think if I was going to sum up Ash, is at the end to Ash's journey, I think it's come at a time when I don't know if it's the right time or not. I think it's somebody somewhere in the Pokemon company thinks it is. So the only thing I can do as a fan is trust their vision of what they've got in mind and hope they do Ash the justice that he deserves, because 25 years for one character, for him and Pikachu, so for two characters, to carry the story that much, a mean feat.
Yeah, their backs are heavy now.
and they're probably going to have back problems now.
There you go, the walking stick.
There you go.
They're tied in the
end. Yeah, we knew we'd bring it all the time back, but that's how I think people just only time will tell.
Yeah.
I think the people, there will be some outcry, and I think the reason there'll be a lot of outcry is if they don't resolve the story satisfactorily.
Yeah. And
give Ash some final payoff. The one thing I hope they don't do is finally show Pikachu evolving into Raichu.
Oh no, I would not be happy about that.
Oh, because they do that and fans riot. I guarantee they do that and fans riot.
Oh, tables will flip. There'll be smashed windows. There'll be riots, I think, if they evolved him.
There'll be plenty of memes on TikTok, YouTube, and Discord, and everywhere of people flipping tables and reacting to that, going,
yeah, pretty much. That'll be good start to 2023.
yeah, Pokemon.
You see that the big fat
Memes
quiz
and
of the
reams
year.
of Pokemon memes. The day you found out that Ash's dad was Mr. Mime. The day you found out that Ash's dad was Ditto.
There you are.
Putting it out there, Ditto can be anything Ditto wants to be. They've not yet said that Ditto can't be a man.
That is true. That is true.
Just saying. And then Ash just transforms into something else. That would be even weirder.
Yeah. Oh my god! Imagine that. That's the payoff in the end. It's
Ash splits into two of them, and there he is, Ash's Liko Roy.
Oh my god! Imagine that's.
Now gone into the twisted Pokemon.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is like the horror kind of twisted version, like Junie Ito version. So to sum up, because we're coming to the end of it, it is a case of that we just have to wait and see how this goes about. It is sad he is now finished, but it is a case of I know some things must come to an end. People hate goodbyes, but it's like you said. He could come back in some form. We don't know. There could be the next milestone anniversary could come back. They have another movie. They did make a whole different movie with I Choose You, where they just started the story pretty much again. So you never know. They could continue maybe with that storyline, because that did kind of end, from what I remember, in an interesting way. But it did end in a way that could carry on maybe. And have it.
I think they hinted in that, didn't they, that there are different universes out there.
Yes.
And so there is always been that hint, and I think currently in the like the zeitgeist of everything now, everyone wants to create a multiverse. Everyone is all about creating a multiverse of characters and a multiverse of franchises. DC are going to try and do it now. Marvel have been doing it successfully, very much so recently.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised to see Pokemon try to do something like that. Maybe with this thing like the Paradox Pokemon, this is their way of almost doing that and creating that. But yeah, in terms of this one, I try to think of it as, and don't say goodbye, say thanks for the journey.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so long for now, sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of Ash's journey next month. Do you have any favourite memories, favourite episodes with Ash in? If you could think of it. I can't think of any. I do have one scene in particular, but it's very early on. So
yeah, I don't know. There's quite a lot, because it's 25 years. To sum up 25 years for me,
yeah,
I would have to say I think its memory is going to be him finally getting that glory. I've seen the clips of it. I haven't seen the full episode of it, so I'm going to be very curious to see final episode of it.
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to be the toughest. That would be one of my favourite memories, I think, for me, when it actually happens. But beyond that, I still find that Pokemon, the first movie, where I think it was, where he's fighting against a Mewtwo and he dies, effectively. I mean, it was one of the most shocking moments. They killed him off pretty much straight away, and then all of a sudden and then there's like, wow. And it was so powerful with Pikachu crying over him and Pokemon crying, and that's probably one of my most, one of the most fond memories of the franchise, because it really proved at that point that it wasn't just all comedy and all stuff like that it could provoke an emotional reaction.
I think, funny enough, another one of O's Pikachu is when I can't remember the name of the episode, but when he had all the other Pikachus, and Ash just like, I think I'll leave him because he seems so attached to all the other Pikachus, and as he's going off, he's crying, and then Pikachu just decides to, no, I want to be with you. And I felt like that episode really solidified their partnership in a way, and it kind of made you realise, yeah, they are going to be together forever, pretty much, as the song depicts in one of the albums. But yeah, that I remember when I watched that, I was in Ireland at the time at my granddad's house, and I just remember just crying my eyes out watching that episode, because it's just like, oh, they're best friends. It's so wonderful to see, and it's just, yeah. And then obviously the victory as well, because you think it's happened after so long. You know, we've it was a running joke that he'll never win, but it actually turned out at the end he did. So it's just so good. So yeah, it pretty much, yeah, beginning of the end, I suppose. But in a way, yeah, I suppose we'll just have to see how this goes. So yeah, so
It's been, it's been most of my life. So
yeah, pretty much mine as well.
so it's gonna be, it'll be emotional, and I think there will be another level of virility to it online when he does go, and people sharing lots of memories. So
yeah,
that's going to be nice to see. But
yeah,
I think best of luck in your future endeavours, to use a Vince McMahon phrase. Future endeavoured him.
oh god, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I think that's probably.
Yeah, best way to round it off. So we don't know how we can watch the episodes yet, but it will start the 13th of January. There's 11 episodes, and yeah, it's pretty much the beginning of the end. Well, beginning of the farewell, I suppose, of Ash Ketchum and his journey, and then we move on to Liko and Roy. So hopefully we won't see their future endeavours very soon. I will give them a chance, because we don't know,
Future endeavoured them before they've even started. Look, you started them off. Look at you.
No, not me. The internet. Not me. The internet already decides to oh no, I'm going to give them a chance. I think they look great. I love Liko's design. I think they are going down the whole protagonist role of crazy hair, because why not?
Red versus blue.
Oh god, well there you are. Pretty much, yeah. It's like that. But I will be interested to see what happens, how it begins, how it carries on, because yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll be back here in a few months' time talking about the end of Ash's journey and those 11, and also the new one of that in April. So,
and hopefully I'll finish Scarlet by then. No, Violet. I'm playing.
I'm sure I can rough you up a spare Sprigatito if you need one.
Oh, thank you, because I don't have Sprigatito. I chose Quaxley. His final form. Yeah, definitely.
Sprigatito's final form is good, so is Fuecoco's final form.
Quaxley. Yeah. It very much goes with the spirit. It very much goes with the spirit of where the game's based. Put it that.
Fair enough.
That's all I'm going to say. If you want to look at, people want to look it up, do so, because I have seen the final evolutions of both Sprigatito and Fuecoco, and I'm just like, I should have picked Sprigatito. Never mind, it's one of those things. So, thank you so much for watching. That didn't go too long, actually. We did quite well in regards to talking about Pokemon. We should be back maybe next week talking about wrestling, because that's something else we both like to talk about. But yes, Stu, where can people find you?
Search me up on YouTube. You'll find my channels on there. At Stuart Claw is on YouTube. And also, you can find me on Twitter at Stuart Claw. And also don't forget, like, comment and subscribe.
And let us know what your favourite moments are from Pokemon with Ash in it. Like favourite movie, favourite episode. We'd love to know, because I will share. Don't worry. I'll let Stu know. If we do have comments, we did have a few for the He-Man one, so like a long time ago. That'll be something else we need to talk about when it comes up again. Definitely.
Yeah. Also, tell us what your favourite Paradox Pokemon is. Curious to know, because there's some really cool designs in the nose bunch, so I'm very curious to see what people's favourite Paradox one is.
Yes, definitely, because I honestly, out of the new, I've tweeted about this a few times, but I love Graveard. I love Graveard so much.
Oh, trust me, some of the new Paradox ones are awesome, and they've got some great. Some of them are evolutions of Pokemon we didn't ever think would get an evolution.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see them.
Yes, definitely. We would love to know. So, thank you so much for watching. We will be back hopefully next week or before the new year anyway, talking about wrestling, because, oh boy, what a year.
Oh, yeah, and it still keeps on rumbling.
Oh gosh, yeah, we've still got like another week and a bit till the new year, so anything could happen in the next week. So
Let's just say, based on what's been happening the last few weeks, it's I'd call it the year of the rose and the thorns.
very much so. Oh my god, literally is War of the Roses, I think, for this. Oh
Yeah.
boy, in both main industries for sure. So, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it as always. Click on the bell below so you know when I upload your videos. Leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I shall chat to you all soon. Bye.
Bye.